don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Hi, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and Maren. We're so happy that you're here. Hi, Maren.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing a lot better. A
Okay.
lot
Yeah.
better. For those of you that don't know, I got myself into a little predicament over the last little while, and I'll just tell you briefly. So my husband went away on a motorcycle trip, which he does annually every year with his group. And it was a tough week because not only did Marcus, my little boy, have huge separation anxiety that we had to work through,
Okay.
which was really challenging. And he did okay, but both my parents, who are elderly, my father has pretty severe disabilities in advanced stages of his disease, and they both got COVID. And it was really shocking because, like many of us, I think we all kind of have stepped away from what we've experienced, as a collective, thinking, that's not, yes, we know it's there, but not so front and prevalent.
Yes.
And for me, it was an experience to see how much fear was still there, because even with the information that I have, and I mean this in a way of, feeling not the fear through all of it, but the awareness, but of course my father getting it. And in his fragility, that really brought up a lot of fear for me. So that was
Yeah.
something that, right? Like that was something that I had to work through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had it first. So I was working through that with them, and unknowingly one of their nurses had it. So that's how they got it. A nurse that comes in to care for my dad. So um, I was helping out and kind of going back and forth. So the reason why I'm saying this is I got myself very run down. So I was, upholding what was going on here in my household and with Marcus, and I had to move appointments around and all of those things. So in the background, I was asking my guides for a break. I'm like, I need a break. I need a break. Like, I need to slow things down so I can get everything taken care of. And unfortunately, I wasn't willing to take the breaks that I needed because I wanted to be able to support everyone I committed to support it. And I've talked about this before, as this has been, family, this, and my family does come first. Always has, always will. But I also love and care about everybody that I work with, and that I'm able to help support, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. However, last weekend I didn't feel so well, and I reached out to Maren because Maren and I were going to meet to film, and so I reached out to you and I said to you, "I'm sick. I have COVID. I'm not well."
I know. Oh my
And there
gosh.
was no working itself around it. I just knew I needed to rest. That's what I needed to do. Rob had returned from his trip, and one by one, our family got knocked down. One by one by one. We all got it. We all got knocked
Oh
down.
my gosh.
Yes. And so knowing what I do about understanding about vibration and about how we would attract something into our life and how would that happen. Of course, as I'm in my healing bubble for that period of time, I was processing why exactly that happened. And this is a prime example of me ignoring my guidance, because that's what I did. I ignored my guidance. I was hearing that I needed to take better care of myself. I was hearing that I needed to ground, that I needed to uh, get outside, do some grounding. And I'm like, yes, I know, but I've got to do this. And yep, I know, I've got to do that. And I'll get to that, but I've got to do this. Okay, so that's a little bit of an old habit of mine. What I was experiencing was old habitual ways that I'd gotten myself into trouble in the past. So that's, I mean, standing here now, I can see all these pieces quite clearly. But of course, walking through the trenches, I was just felt like I was spinning for those days.
Mhm.
So, Maren, what did you tell me? What guidance did you give me right away when I told you I was sick?
Yeah, well, it's so funny because you're like even that weekend. So of course I said you need to I didn't say ground. I said you need to go outside and get some sunshine and put your feet on the ground. That's what I said.
Yes.
Because this huge theme that was going on in my week was all about grounding. And that's what I wanted to do that weekend was to talk about grounding with you because it had such a huge presence in my life that week. And so then
Yep.
when you said you were sick, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. She needs to ground. So, yeah, so I think we should just continue that discussion today about grounding
I
and how
think
it's so
so.
important. And I'll tell you what
Yes.
happened in my week that week. That would have been like not this past week, but the week before.
A week
Um,
before. Yeah.
yes. So it's just so crazy how I think this is so amazing how since we've started this
Yeah.
show, how there will be like an overwhelming topic that will happen really between the two of us.
Yes.
And that's how we
Yes.
know, like, wow, that was a big theme in my
Yes.
week this week too. And then we
Yep.
have like our show. So,
Yep.
so for me, I had heard about, I mean, everybody's heard about grounding, right? Like, oh, ground before you connect. Like, it's a pretty big word in the metaphysical field of like, but
Yes.
everything it's more, I guess when I first learned about it, it's more like the representation of it. Like imagine your feet going down to the center of the earth. Like imagine vines coming out of your feet, or imagine like sometimes I'll imagine like rocks piling on my feet, or like it's just all in, like a metaphysical way.
Yes.
Um, so then one day, and it's funny because I had heard like, like throughout my life, oh, go outside and walk barefoot in the grass. And you're like, what? Um, and anyways, so then, like, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 months ago, I came across this article about earthing. And I was like, what's earthing? And they were like, it's when you put your feet in the grass and you connect to the earth. And I was like, what is the difference between earthing and grounding? Because they're the
Yeah.
same. They're the
Yes.
absolute same. Just so you know, earthing is grounding, grounding is earthing.
Yeah.
Um, didn't know that. So step one. And then it was this article and it had all about how like grounding will reduce inflammation, increases the immune system, like helps with your mood. It has all these like regulatory benefits to it. And I had just kind of like you, I was like, oh, that's great information for so and so in my life. And I like passed that information in that article along to them, like, you would really benefit from that, and like, I don't need that. You need that.
Hmm.
And kind of like, I don't know if I believe in this yet. Like, we'll see, but you need a Hail Mary. So like you can try that and benefit from that. Well, meanwhile, this person took my advice and got an earthing mat or grounding mat, earthing mat, whatever you want to call it. You like put it on your bed. And then like got really into grounding. And I had that week, the weekend before, I was like, I really need to call them and see how they're doing. So I called them up and, hey, how are you doing? How are all your like health ailments going? And he was like, you know what? Ever since I started grounding, I have been feeling so much better. And I was like, huh, it does work. So then I was like, and then he sent me this documentary. He's like, you really need to watch this documentary, the Earthing movie, The Remarkable Science of Grounding. And it's just via YouTube. You can search it on YouTube and watch it for free. And I was like, okay, like I'll check into that sometime, you know. And then I happened, like one day that week, happened to get onto YouTube, and it was like the video you should watch next, you know. And it was about earthing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was a regular show that I watched, so it wasn't like, because I hadn't even clicked that link yet, so it was like the show I normally watch. The episode for that week was about earthing, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is really coincidental. Maybe something's telling me I need to watch this documentary. Okay, so that'll happen. Then we had big drama at our house. So the kids after school, I think this was like the first day of school too. So the kids after school, they're all playing outside in the front yard, and I'm watching them. Everything's good. Then they go play they were playing soccer. And so I was like, I kind of want to stay in the front yard, because like, what if a ball goes in the front yard or goes into the street? And I just like want to make sure I'm like watching for cars.
Yeah.
Then they moved to the backyard. So I was like, all right, I'm off duty. I'm going to go inside. I started to like fold some laundry. And then they all came inside and they went down into the basement to play video games. And I'm like, I know you're really safe. You're down in the basement. So I'm folding my laundry. I'm listening. There's no fights. They're all just playing. I'm good. Josh comes home and he's like, what has happened? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, there's blood everywhere. What? He goes, there's blood all down. We have like wood floors throughout, and then we have carpet on the stairs down to the basement. He's like, there's blood on every single step in the basement. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, like, did somebody get hurt? I said, no one has said anything. He was like, are you? And I think at this point, I'm like listening to that grounding podcast. He's like, you're just sitting there like listening to podcasts and you're not paying attention to the kids. And I'm like, no one has complained. Nobody's cried. Nobody's done anything. He like inspected all of their feet. Like no one's got a bloody foot. Like we have no idea where this blood came from. We checked the dog's paws. Like I had shoes on the whole time. Like they had shoes on when they played outside. We have no idea where this blood came from. Huh. And I know, isn't that so weird? And he's like, so then he gives me this huge lecture about how all the children should have shoes on when they play outside, and there should be no reason for not having shoes on, and shoes are very important, and blah, 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 all about shoes, and shoes need to be on. Okay. Yeah. And so that was like how we decided to solve the problem. Shoes will always be on our children's feet.
Right.
So anyways, then that night we like go to bed, and we decide to watch this earthing documentary. And basically they're like, where we went wrong in society is that we made shoes with like synthetic soles. So when our shoes had leather soles, they conducted with the earth, and you could still receive the earth's electrical field. But once we had like the synthetic plastics and rubbers that have the synthetic stuff in it, you no longer can conduct with the earth. And so you've shut off your field. And so they're like, you know, think about it. Children don't wear shoes when they go, or children are always wearing shoes when they go outside. And I was like, oh my gosh, can you believe that this was our literal conversation right before the earthing movie was about how shoes always need to be on our children's feet? And then, and so it's just a remarkable story about how this guy, and he didn't invent it. He stumbled upon grounding. He worked with, he calls it the communications companies. Like I think he worked with like cable boxes and stuff. And, and so he knows all about grounding. And then one day he just thought, I wonder if we're grounded. And then he thought, I wonder what the repercussions are now that we're not grounded to the earth anymore, once we realized we weren't grounded. And then he figured out a way to make himself grounded. And then he passed it out to all of his friends, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is healed now. This is healed now. This is healed now. Like, I sleep so good. And
Mhm.
so he feels like the electrical charge does something to your body when you have become part of the earth, and you're grounded with the earth. It does something to your blood system, and they feel like it helps maybe make it like flow easier, and that
Mhm.
is what reduces the inflammation. And if you have any adrenal dysfunction, it helps with that,
Mhm.
which will then improve your immune system.
Mhm.
And it will also improve because you don't have that inflammation in like your brain and your joints and your whatever, and you're sleeping now, you're sleeping well. You also have just a positive, like you could get rid of depression or anxiety because you have a better mindset, if that makes sense. Like and when you're
Yes.
sleeping, your body is healing.
Yeah.
It's doing healing work, and it's, so it's amazing. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, we
Yes.
need to like order this right now. Now they're working
Yes.
with like paraplegics and like that society to like help them because like they have swelling from not moving every day. And
Right.
so it's a really big movement, and it's really cool. It's backed by science. It's not like wacky quacky,
Yeah.
like they show you the science. It really makes sense. And they're like, honestly, it's like we just accidentally ungrounded ourselves with the invention of shoes. And so
Right.
it's really important that we ground ourselves. And
Yeah.
obviously, like the best way to do it is to go outside and get some, you know, uh, time in the grass and ground. They said that the results are instant. Like
Mhm.
they can't even measure like how the blood, like, I don't know what, it's not thins, but the electrons in the blood, they can't even like measure the speed at which they get into the blood because it's so
Yes.
instant. Um,
Mhm.
but all of the studies are based off of somebody that has grounded for 2 hours. So I don't
Wow.
know. They don't go into it in the movie, like what's the sweet spot, like is it
Mhm.
an instant thing and like you're fine if you just kind of like do a little walk, or do you need a full 2 hours? And
I think
then it
that
would be best to have
depends
these
on
naps.
like
Huh?
what I'm just getting to as you're saying that is depending on what it is. Like I get instantaneously, you will always feel some benefit. Instantaneously,
I
there will be
feel
a
like
benefit.
I feel instantaneous benefits. Like,
Yeah.
I made it a thing this summer. I was like, when I water my garden, I'm not going to wear shoes. That was like my
Yeah.
kind of like goal to
Yeah.
myself. Like, that way I get like a little bit of grounding in the
Yeah.
morning. And it's like you like instantly feel this like
Yeah.
calmness, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And
Well,
so
I'll
yeah.
tell you, I want to share when you told me, when you said, put your feet on the ground, get some sunlight. And that was like doctor's orders for me because I already knew what I was hearing and what I had been ignoring just so that I could do things that I wanted to get done. I was trying to manage everything. So I took that very seriously and I went right out. And that's where I spent actually 2 hours, is what I spent out there with my
Mhm.
feet on the ground and laying in the sunshine, just sitting, letting the sunshine come on me. And I did move over to the shade for a little bit because the sun was a little too intense for a while. But um, did I feel instantly better? Yes, I did. My mood felt different. Um, my just all of that, I'll say chaos that was building up in me released. Now, I ground uh, in the water every day. I use water to cleanse and ground. And so I do things each day, but we were talking about this a little bit before we jumped on. And this is important because you had said to me, with all the work that I'm doing, the healing work and everything running through me, well, that's been increasing. So the amount of work I'm doing metaphysically, not only for myself, my family, and everyone else, that to have all that energy conducting through and to be running it and being a conduit for it, we need to increase the amount that we do for ourselves. to keep in
Mhm.
balance. So what that really big reminder was to me is that all those signs were there of what I needed to do. And uh, we need to continue to keep up with what we are projecting. So I'm wanting to do more healing work, wanting to help more people. I have to make sure that my body, my mind is getting the basics to be able to handle
Mhm.
doing that amount of work, because that's what this was all about for me. Is it's time to level up, Michelle. It's time to do more. Okay, so you've taken yourself this far, but you really need to get back to the basics and now start to look at what you need. And that was a grace period for me to be able to do that, to
That
heal.
is so, that's so wild that like that was the thing when I saw the grounding movie and I was like, I want to buy this for buy a grounding mat because it's like, you can't go outside in winter and
Right.
ground. And plus
Yep.
I would love to be able to do it for a whole 8 hours.
Yes.
So I want to buy the
Yes.
mat. But that was what came through my mind is I want to level up. Like I
Yeah.
feel like this is what will make me level up or what will help me
Yes.
level up. Like
Yes.
there's just
Yes.
something just being connected to the earth's gravitational
Yes.
field, I feel like will really help with
Yes.
that.
And this is a process too, because no matter where, and I say this all the time, it does not matter where any of us are on our journey, we have to be able to keep ourselves in balance. And so the more that comes in, we have to clear the space for more to come in,
Hmm.
and then work with our body, our minds, our mental, emotional body. Everything levels up.
Hmm.
So, it's meant to do that. And it's important for me to say this too, because being sick was not a punishment, and in the past, that's how I looked at illness. Was
Hmm.
illness was a punishment. What have I done wrong? What am I doing wrong in this world to always be so sick? Right? I couldn't make sense of that. And this whole process now, and we're now talking 14 years of working through different elements within me and different, my emotional body, my mental body, my physical body is continuing to clear and rebalance to grow in that continuous process of doing so. And to always remind ourselves that, you know, if we're starting to see signs within ourselves, not only the guidance that I've been so this morning, Eric just came like, yeah, when you pay attention to the guidance, when you pay attention, but even that guidance, we have to be ready to be in the moment to do it as well. And sometimes those
Hmm.
moments come for us. So me having COVID was for me. It was to help me. It was to give me that awareness to show me this is how this will help you. You need to add more of this into your day. You need to do more of this. And there's a lot of those things in different areas of my life. And it's not perfection. It's balance. And that's something that I've really had to work through. Being able to really take the information that Spirit's giving for others and to continue to take that in for myself and to work through that for myself as well, so that I can be the best me for myself, for my family, and for everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. And that's what this lady, so the interviewer or the documentarian, she does it. And so she's seen all the positive benefits in her family. And that's what she decided to do this documentary. And
Mm,
even at the end, she goes, I've lost, I don't know, I can't remember, like 40 pounds. Like, does grounding cause weight loss? And he goes, well, I've heard that before that people lose weight grounding, but it's not that grounding directly causes weight loss. It's that
right.
when you ground, you feel so much better. You're getting good sleep. So you have more
Yes.
energy. You've reduced your inflammation. So you feel like moving. You have a better mindset. So you feel better about exercising and being this and being that. And so it's like, and all those, and you're not sick anymore. And so now you
Yes.
are healthy enough to get out and get moving. And,
Yes.
and all those things combined,
Yes.
have this secondary weight loss thing. And I feel like that's kind of what you're saying. You have like all these things
Yes.
combined that you're going to do,
Yes.
going to help you to like level up in your life for whatever that may
Yes.
be. Yeah.
Exactly. And the, like you said, like the domino effect, right? The
Mm-hmm.
domino effect of everything. And that's what's happening to me right now. And that's just where it's at. It's a leveling up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sorting through all these little pieces that, yeah, this was okay for a while, but this isn't going to fit anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and I will, at some point, I will talk about some of these bigger things that are happening right now to me, some changes that are happening, but I'm not ready to bring it all out yet because I don't have all the answers through it because it is a process, right?
Oh, well, we are excited to
Yeah,
hear when you're ready
yeah.
to share.
hmm And so
That's
there's a lot of changes that are taking place, and it's very exciting, but it's also very supportive, and I have to say I feel so supported, and I'm so grateful for it because no matter what it is that we go through, you know, I used to walk feeling like there was no one, and now I feel everyone. I feel all
Oh, I
the support,
love that.
physical and non-physical. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a big difference between healing now and healing then. And a lot of people will write to me or talk to me and talk about how they are so alone on their healing journey, and I understand that we all have felt that. But what's so interesting is sometimes we can't feel that non-physical support or see it until we're at that space where it starts to clear so that we can actually feel it and receive it. So so for any of you that are like, yeah, but I still feel alone, or I'm still, just keep going, keep caring for you on the inside, because there is so much support here for us. So, and thank you, Maren, for the healing for me, and for the message that I needed to hear, and others as well, because I've been very fortunate to feel a lot of healing in prayers, and it helps. It helps. I'll take it all and spread it right back. So
Yeah. Well, we are so glad you're feeling better. And your
me
mom and
too.
your dad, are they doing okay?
They are. They are.
Good.
They are, other than being fatigued, but they seem to be pretty much back to
Okay, good.
to good health. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to get them grounding mats.
I was thinking of all these things because a lot of what I experienced, and I mean, my parents have come a long way in what, their understanding. And there's some things that they kind of are like, "Oh, okay, Michelle, okay." But
Yeah.
most of it they trust because they've seen it long enough now, that they're
Right.
like, okay, okay, we'll trust that. We'll trust that. My parents are, they're really good with, my dad started to see a naturopath years and years and years ago when he first discovered that he had ataxia, and a lot of things that he learned through that with vitamins and food and all of those things have been really, really beneficial for him, and I think why he has done well for so long, why he has his disease in later stages right now, but he does okay. He does okay. And I think that has a lot to do with, um, his own knowledge that he has learned, and some of the stuff that I'm bringing in is a little different for him, but he might not say a lot, but he certainly does. He certainly does believe, you know. So a grounding mat would be a good idea for him, for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, everyone go outside, especially while the weather's still nice. Get your feet out in the ground. And if you ground, if this is like a
Yes.
practice that you already do, please in the comments share with us your experiences. Let us
hmm
know if
hmm
you have a certain, there's like all sorts of ones. Ones, you look on your bed. There's ones that you could put like on the floor at your desk. Let us
Yes.
know. Give us,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I'm supposed to have it now, because we got on Amazon after we watched the documentary. We are going to buy this. And then
Yes.
there was like, we kind of got overwhelmed with the choices. So then we stopped
Yes.
and
Yeah.
completely forgot about it until talking to you today. So I'm like, that's why we're doing this today, so I can
Yep.
remember to like follow
Yep.
through with my purchase.
Yes.
So
Yes. That's awesome. Well,
yeah.
Maren, there is never any coincidences. And as once again, I just adore you. And thank you so much for bringing forward these messages for me because I've needed them
You're
so
welcome.
much. And
Good.
I believe that we are in this new energy, and there's so much excitement that I feel, so many new things all over the place, and my guides keep reminding me, okay, Michelle, you don't have to play way over there in that energy. Bring it back down. Bring it back down. Keep grounding it. Because that is a big message for our collective right now. Because there is so much that's going on around us, and things that feel so unknown. And, you know, our world is changing so much, and grounding ourselves is really and truly an extremely powerful thing that we can do to help us walk through the challenges. So awesome. Yeah. So I guess here we are again. So thanks guys for hanging on for last week because I was in no shape. And obviously we had to bring together this message. So thanks guys.
Yes. Thank you. Have a good
All right.
week, Michelle.
Have a good week, Maren. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next Monday at the same time. Happy grounding.
Happy grounding.